Everyone.
It's my Hillary Clinton bottle opener. It's literally the only thing her big mouth is good for. Is popping open my my Samuel Adams, my founding father's beer.
Of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets are true without checking facts first. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
After we have officially gone off the rails before it even began, it's Dave and Ryan, December 1773. New feature on the YouTube. Watching the video, you go in the bottom right. I think that'll be right when it's posted. You should know right and left. It's the one that doesn't make the L when you're looking at it. Bottom right of the video feed, you click a button, and you will immediately subscribe to our channel for more great content that we're going to have like this following up here. So after that, I would like to introduce my host of the show and good friend, Ryan. And feel free to jump right in there, buddy.
Hey man, how's your week been?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I gotta say, it's a long, in between our films, our shootings, it's like a long week. Like I'm itching to get back. Like as soon as we hang up the Skype call here, I'm itching to get back and do another one. So it was a good week though. It was a good week. How was your week? Do you have a good week this week?
I had a great week, and I also agree with you. I'm trying to move some things around in my life, so maybe we might be able to do this bi-weekly. Maybe record midweek, and during the weekend we can probably get podcasting. So I'll keep you in the loop about that. As far as my week, I just did the typical grind out at work, and yesterday was my grandmother's 79th birthday, and we had an awesome family time at Darien Lake State Park. And I just wanted to share a story with you. It moved me. It made me feel incredibly grateful. I'm not the most religious person, but I was praising God all day yesterday. And so they have a beach there at Darien Lake, water, typical park thing. Families all together. Once again, it was my grandmother's birthday. All my aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, my father. Amazing day, beautiful weather. Got out on the canoe, paddled the lake, and it was towards the end of the evening. Things were kind of winding down, and there was a woman there. I saw her earlier in the day. She was with a man who had some kind of physical disparity, handicap, disability, and I didn't pay much attention to it. And they were up by the water fountain, which was, a few yards from our campsite. We were right there. We were the closest campsite to the bathrooms. And I look up, and this guy is slamming his head on the concrete. And I start walking towards this woman, and as I'm about to ask her if she needs assistance, she screams, "Somebody help me!" I instantly start running. I was like I said, I'm already in motion. I start booking up the hill. I throw my phone out of my pocket, and I get above him, and he is slamming his head on the ground. He's punching himself in the face. Like, dude, when I mean he's slamming himself on the ground, when he hits it, like, he comes up, and you can tell, like he's like, it hurts. And the woman is real frantic, and she's saying, he's autistic. Don't let him hit himself. Hold his hands. So I'm trying to hold his hands. He's like twisting around. He's trying to because he was stomach down. He's trying to spin around and like wrap his legs around me. I get on top of him. I put all my body weight. I lay my entire body on his back. He starts trying to grab my skin. I get his one arm down. He's still slamming his head on the ground. One of my cousins' wives ran over, and she is a nurse that deals with handicapped people. So she instantly went into that mode. And she asked the mom, do you have medicine? Is it a needle? Is it a pill? Apparently it was some type of yogurt. So she held his one hand. I had the other hand, all my body weight's on top of him. One of the park attendants come over, and we have like a towel. And he just keeps going, dude. Keeps slamming his head on the ground, and like we try to like he tries like wrap it around his head to like stop him. And she slips the yogurt in his mouth, and almost immediately, within 30 seconds to a minute, he relaxes. He split his head open. He jacked himself up, man. And the woman, after things kind of died down, we just sat around, make sure he was okay. He just basically, the guy was in a diaper. He was autistic. And the woman ended up telling us his name was Anthony. He was a 20-year-old man, and it was her son. And, I mean, my heart was broken. My heart went out to them. I haven't stopped thinking about this woman or Anthony since it happened on Saturday. And afterwards, he was fine. We all eventually left him, and they got in their car and they went home, and everything was fine on our end. And, the first thing I did was I walked right up to my daughter. She's 4 years old. She's perfect in every regard. She's healthy. She's smart. She's beautiful. I looked her in the eye. I kissed her, and I told her I love her more than anything on this earth. And I walked out to the lake, and I looked out there. I looked up to the sky, and I praised God, man. I praised God. I counted all my blessings, how thankful I am that my friends and family are all healthy. We don't have, crazy, outstanding circumstances. We don't have any major disabilities or life preventative things. And I have my health, I have my wealth, I have my, I just was going through the list, of all the things that I could ever be grateful for on this earth. And I try to do it every day. I try to thank the heavens every day for my existence, for health and happiness and all the, like I said, all the list. And anytime I see stuff like that, somebody with a disability, I just praise God, man. And especially being so involved, I was literally hands-on. I probably saved this guy's life yesterday.
That's an incredible story. I mean, it's amazing how quickly we overlook some of the most basic things in life, which are really the most important, like our health and things like that. So that's an awesome story.
Yeah, man. And on my way home, I just cried. I had alone time. It was just my daughter and I cruising home. We packed up a little later. My uncle was like, "You're such a good man. You have so much respect." And like the crazy thing is about it, man, was it was instinct. There was no it wasn't like I thought like, "Oh, I'm gonna run over there and save this guy," or like what. There was none of it. I just reacted, and it was in front of all my family. My brother came up. He's like, "That's why I want to be just like you." And then, all this was with me the rest of the evening. And on my way home, I just praised God, dude. I cried. My daughter fell asleep in the car ride. I just took a nice cruise through all the neighborhoods I grew up in. And I just I had flashbacks of my life. I tried to save her yesterday in particular because of the event, and it just made me humbly grateful for every single thing, man. And life's beautiful. People shouldn't be so cynical, even in these trying times. There's plenty to live for, and there's more to fight for.
That's
so yeah.
crazy.
I just wanted to put it out there to all our listeners, and obviously that discussion between us, just that I appreciate you, man. I love you. I love our listeners. I appreciate support. I'm just humbly grateful for it all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take it for granted, and I hope most people don't take all this for granted. This giant experiment we're in.
Yeah. No, it's too easy. It's too easy to do. It's too easy to do.
I couldn't agree more.
That's a great story. Great way to kick off the show there.
Thank you.
We got a lot going on. to jump into it. We got a lot going on in the last week. We do the show weekly, obviously, so within a week, you can miss so much. And it was definitely a busy week.
Busy news week for sure.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to write a point down before I forgot it.
Sure.
Yeah, so do you want to get into the big news event this week that was beaten to death?
The DNC convention?
Yeah, the disastrous National Committee.
It was a weird virtual... I mean, I guess I'm not super surprised. I mean, a lot of things this year have been virtualized. I mean, the NFL draft was virtual this year, and among other things. So I guess the virtual DNC convention isn't super weird, but they made it weird. You know what I mean? It seemed like it could have been a totally normal thing, and they ended up making it very awkward.
Yeah.
What'd you make of the DNC convention?
Well, here's what I'll say. It reminded me of how awful it is to listen to political banter for hours on end. It's difficult. It's difficult to get through some of it.
I'm glad we don't do that here at December 1773.
We hope to add some entertainment to the otherwise boring subject. I'm going to say right off the bat, I got two things I just want to say, and then I got a couple other points. But two things first. Why do we care about celebrities and past presidents and previous politicians? First. And second, Joe Biden running that he's not Trump is probably the strongest campaign he could ever muster up.
Yeah, go on.
It's just amazing to me because obviously we've been beaten over the head nearly every day about how Trump is bad or his policies are terrible or, everything else that the media has towed for the last 4 years. And then it all comes to a crucible and Joe Biden can basically run and all of his previously established things. They can just, I'm not Trump. Trump is this. He divides the country. Joe Biden was referencing that he's the light. Trump is the dark, even though he was not referencing Trump by name in his
we all knew
speech.
we all knew what he meant.
Yeah, he didn't have to. And then at the same time, the party that is helping divide America through things like redefining racism, defunding police,
identity politics,
standing behind these protests, other things they push like the inequality gap between men and women. The party that literally ICE is evil. We should, open borders without saying they want to open borders. They have these policies. They have these talking points that literally divide people. And then the guy they're choosing to masquerade as their lead dude is saying he's going to unite the country. And something that is so important is that they did not talk about one bit of policy.
Yep.
The unifier. The way to unify people is with a plan, not rhetoric. And what did we see for the entire 10 hours or 12-hour coverage that we got beat over the head with? I am not Trump. Trump is evil. Politicians, celebrities, Obama, Hillary, all these people. And that's all we heard. It was just regurgitation of the past 4 years of media coverage, basically.
So I thought the same thing, and I thought two things about this. I think the DNC's plan in general to run as not Trump and to stay as far away from policy as humanly possible is a great plan. But they have failed execution miserably because out of all the people who ran, they chose Joe Biden, who is the one person in the DNC that ran that cannot say he is he's the better of the two in civility. They could have ran Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang, take your pick from any of the list. They could have ran any of them, and somehow they end up with Joe Biden, who is the only person who can't execute this plan. If you want to stay away from policy, that's probably a great idea, but you cannot possibly say you're going to be the more civil party when Joe Biden is your candidate, who is just as creepy, just as rapey, if you want if you want to say that as a word. He is the total wrong candidate for this plan.
Speak of rapey, I'm glad Bill Clinton showed up when he was seen
Yes.
photographed on,
Yes.
on Epstein's Island getting a back rub from an underage sex trafficker. That's besides the point. We believe all women here.
I totally forgot to bring that up. Out of all the people they could bring out to say, look how civil we are, here comes Bill Clinton on screen. Horrible
Hey,
execution.
I did not have sexual back rubs with that woman.
Absolute
Quick
botch
point on
of
your
their
list
plan.
there, though. Tulsi Gabbard. The DNC hated her after she ripped apart Kamala Harris on that stage during the debates earlier. They hated that. Andrew Yang, I think that guy is too logical for that party. That party needed somebody that wasn't thinking with reason. So they got the blackmail. They got something on him, or they pushed him out. However they did it. And Yang fell right in line with the establishment after he wasn't the candidate. He backed whatever.
Oh yeah, he jumped right in.
As far as Bernie's too extreme to run as a mainline candidate that's supposed to basically ran in all 50 states. You know, most of Bernie's demographics were those progressive extremists. And I mean extremists as the terms of like their thoughts are radical. And speaking of radical, Bernie, during the DNC, when he was on there, he said Medicare for all. I think he referenced free college too. He said those were radical ideas. They are no longer radical. If that does not tell you what that party is about, I don't know what it is. Because at first, Medicare for all, Obama, you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. I mean, the back and forth rhetoric we've heard on some of these points on that side of the aisle, and then to come full circle that, oh, it's not radical anymore. This is basically a mainline talking point for the Democrats. And it was something we referenced the other week, that it seems that the extremists of that party are moving the political needle for that party. It's not the people with reason. It's not the people in the middle. You know, we're just basically, they're groveling to the most extreme of points. And it just seems like the left's moved further left.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt they've gone farther left. I think the only reason... I was going to say, I think the whole political establishment has moved farther left. As much as they talk about, radical right-wing and all that, I think the Republican Party they're not really as far right as they campaign to be, I should say. They campaign as being a pretty far right and, Republican group. And then when they get in office, inevitably it all falls apart and they all, walk the same line.
Yeah, it's easy to say you're to the right, and then when you say you're a conservative, but then every time there's a deficit crisis or anything of that nature, they all agree to take on more debt and have, higher government spending, the growth of government, suppression of some civil liberties slowly. But yeah, Biden, the only reason I picked Biden was he's the most moderate candidate in that entire party, And if anybody's going to unify all of those, it would have to be him. And as Trump said himself, Joe Biden is a Trojan horse for socialism. I believe that just based on the rhetoric we've heard from this party. I mean, it's the extremists are moving that political needle and are driving that party. People like AOC, Nancy Pelosi to some extent. Even if she doesn't come out and explicitly say it, Nancy Pelosi knows that if she doesn't toe that line, that, this needle that keeps moving left, she's going to be out of office.
Yeah. Speaking of AOC, she was there, not there, she had a video filmed and distributed. She had a weird, did you see her video? It was kind of a weird non-endorsement, and then it was followed by a strong endorsement on Twitter. I don't know if she got taken to the woodshed after her video was aired or what happened, but she didn't seem like she was all on board, and then seemingly, I don't know, however long it was, an hour later or whatever, she had a big strong endorsement over Twitter. I almost respected her that close, because her video was kind of like, like I said, it was a non-endorsement. I was like, oh man, she good for her. And then, whatever, she went to Twitter and she just had a glowing endorsement of Joe Biden.
Excuse me, right, because it was more about the ideals, not the actual candidate. Right? Yeah, I want to talk about something that I got a little heated about earlier. Mr. Andrew Cuomo turned out for the DNC debate.
Yes. Yeah.
Disclaimer to all of our listeners: I can't stand that fucking guy. I really can't.
I think
That
in
guy,
one
in
of
my
our
opinion, does everything wrong. He does literally everything wrong. And then whether it's passing the New York State budget, no matter what it is, the guy gets up there and beats his chest like he did such a good job, when in reality, it's your job. You shouldn't be applauding yourself for doing something that's within your job description. You don't go above and beyond. You're like, oh, I mean, the guy's writing a book for how he handled the coronavirus pandemic in New York State.
is it a what not to do book?
Talk about ego. They ripped the Trump campaign for he's egotistical. He's an egomaniac. What the fuck is writing a book about something that was your job? It was your job to save us from the pandemic. And apparently your way of saving us was crippling our economy, shutting down local businesses. The curve that you said you were trying to flatten, you maybe flatten it a little bit, but our numbers went sky freaking high, man. And then they went low because everybody that was going to get it caught it. And your terrible policies to stick sick people with COVID in nursing homes with other elderly people that led to uncountable number of, they're not even reporting the number, but you kill people. And on top of it, when this all first happened, Andrew Cuomo gave himself dictatorial power, basically unlimited power, unchecked power until April of 2021. That he can do anything he needs to do with government resources. He can pass any kind of bill. Blatant authoritarianism. And this guy's going to beat his chest, write a book about it, and then I'm going to hear him lecture me at the DNC National Committee about how Trump is basically an allegory for the coronavirus, and he's the disease in America. And that they rallied. New Yorkers fought it, and we rose to the challenge. Dude, fuck off. Like, seriously. I don't know how you fit in your car with that huge-ass head that he's got, but he figures it out. He is a scumbag on literally every point. And when this whole corona thing was going on, everybody from all sides of the media, Andrew Cuomo should be running for president. Andrew Cuomo, believe me, that guy wants nothing more than to run for president. And you know what? He will in 2024 or 25. He will. Because I'm sure he won't be governor because the time would elapse. He will run next time he can. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
And he's going to once again get up there, probably hold his book up. This is how I solved it. This is what I'm going to do for America. Dude, Cuomo is all over Western New York in my area. There's stickers of it because he gutted your civil liberties when it comes to owning an assault weapon. Because apparently nobody needs 10 bullets to kill a deer. This guy is a blatant authoritarian, and he believes the problem for everything needs to be solved by bigger government. When in reality, our problems come from having a big government that is uncontrollable. And we just get shoved down our throat. And like I said, he's going to get up there, relate the Trump presidency, and parallel it to the COVID like it's a disease that needs to be eradicated from our society. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a mockery. He played with people's lives, and then he's using all of those as a political bargaining chip on why you should vote for Democrats, because they aren't Donald Trump. No policy, no what they're going to do for you, nothing what they're going to do for the black community, nothing what they're going to do for working class people, nothing about, border security or dealing with foreign threats like China and Russia. None of that. All they talked about was, I'm not Trump. Biden's not Trump. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's not like Trump. You know what? They have a saying, don't they? Nice guys finish last. I hope Biden finishes last in November.
Yeah. To quote you, and you expanded vastly on from our last episode. What you said, if I remember correctly, Cuomo is a political tool, and by that I mean he's a tool. I don't like him.
He's an actual tool.
He's an actual tool.
You go to Home Depot, and you see him up there. He's just going, New York strong. I drive by a sign every night on my way home from work. We are NY tough. It's like, Why? By wearing masks in public? Go f*** yourself. Go f*** yourself.
He
All he
act.
did was expand his power and limit mine.
He plays the tough guy role on TV frequently. In interviews, he always acts like the tough guy. He literally threatens to fight people. I'll tell you what, I would love to meet him in a boxing ring. I'd knock his head right off.
It gets even better, too, because my old lady was talking to me about how flu season apparently is going to be super bad this year. And apparently the governor was talking about how...
Conveniently, it
it's gonna
disappeared
overload
last
the
year.
hospitals.
Conveniently, it disappeared this year. Just saying.
Yeah, I did a little brief research, and there's people. We're gonna have a twin epidemic, and all this. It's like, you'll do anything. And they were referencing how we'll be short of hospital equipment and hospital beds, and we'll overload the hospitals. All this other crap. It's like, can we not make more stuff? Like,
we already had to close all these hospitals we built for COVID. We shut all these hospitals down that weren't even used because we were going to run into this big pandemic.
I don't understand. Like, it was the whole thing with the second wave, too. Second wave's going to be coming. Like, don't you think we'd be more prepared the second time? So why would it get worse? Blatant authoritarians. That's what these people are. Flagrant authoritarians. Andrew Cuomo took no prejudice. When this pandemic hit, he gutted our civil power and gave himself dictatorial power. That's all it is to it. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. And he certainly did not. And then he's going to masquerade as the savior of New York State. And then call all of our frontline heroes, all of our healthcare workers, frontline heroes, healthcare heroes. The same party that shit talks the military are calling everybody heroes. Give me a break. It's a joke. It's a mockery. It's a fraud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you've said it all. I don't have to chime in on Cuomo, I don't think. I think you took him to the cleaners hard enough for the both of us. You don't like him. I think what I've gathered from this conversation is you're not his biggest fan. One day
I was flipping out in the car.
One day maybe he can earn your vote in the presidential election.
Yeah, vote to go to hell. I cannot stand that guy, man. He told us here in Buffalo. I live just outside of Buffalo. Buffalo is known for inventing the chicken wing, the Buffalo hot wing. And we have entire restaurants dedicated exclusively to chicken wings. Like, you go there, and, like, wings is like a meal. It's not an appetizer in Buffalo. Wings is a meal in itself. It's not an appetizer. If you go to, like, a chain restaurant, like an Applebee's or Fridays, they'll have it under appetizers. But a local restaurant in Buffalo area, that's a meal. I eat wings, a whole order of wings to myself for dinner. And that asshole gets up there and says chicken wings aren't a meal. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He's telling me what I can and can't eat, what I can and can't do, where I can and can't go. Blatant authoritarianism. I can't stand the guy.
Yeah, he was born on the wrong side of the state. He doesn't understand the chicken wing.
Dude was born in the wrong country. All right, enough about Cuomo. I'm done giving him my public spotlight for his freaking enjoyment.
You hammered him and maybe even endorsed a few books. So a couple of things. Well, Democrats don't want to talk about policies. They do have policies laid out. And recently, I'm going to pull this up on my phone here, but the Tax Foundation had brought to light some of the Biden tax policy. And just a couple quick notes from this. And if people don't know the Tax Foundation, you can Google them. They basically do all this research and create, future, whatever you want to call it, pretty much predictions about tax policies.
They make the analytics for what the tax laws are going to be based on what they propose.
So a couple quick notes here. I just want to get where I was at here. So it says, on average, taxpayers would see a 1.7% reduction in after-tax income on a conventional basis by 2030. And that says ranging from a 0.7% decline for those in the bottom quintile to 7.8% decline for earners in the top 1%. So to be clear, people in the bottom of the earning pool are still going to see a decline in their income from this tax plan. So not off to a good start, because when Democrats push their tax policy, inevitably they always talk about it's only going to be the 1% who's going to pay more, the richest of the rich. That is not the case. A couple other things. Capital gains tax, for people who don't know what capital gains is, it's basically a tax on people who do investments. And the reason they're inherently lower than income tax is because the country wants to incentivize people investing into the country. So it makes sense to tax them at a lower rate. Part of his plan would be to raise the capital gains tax to the normal top rate, the normal income tax. So it'd be raised to 23.8% from whatever it is now, 12% or whatever. So it's basically doubling the capital gains tax. Raising the corporate income tax from 21 to 28% is one of his policies. And lastly, they had something in here about renters' credits in the tax plan. Basically, a renter's credit to reduce in utilities to 30% of income. So people who are renting would have their part of their rent paid, whatever the case may be, so that the rent is only 30% of what they earn, whatever it be, monthly or whatever. So if somebody, I don't know that they don't get super specific in their plan about that. So I don't know if somebody could rent a place for $2,000 a month and only have to pay 30% of their income monthly. I don't know how that would work. But basically the government would cut you a check to pay for the rest of the rent.
All I heard in that entire breakdown of their tax credit was that you're going to stifle, kill, and eventually move things offshore in America when it comes to innovation, investments, and producing.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about one of the earlier shows that when you take wealthy people's money, they're going to find ways to hold on to it, whether they move from the state, or they move residency outside of the country, or they move their business outside of the country. I don't know how this is a good plan for America.
No.
I don't understand how that could be a good plan for America.
People in the know, people who make fair bits of money, who get the most hurt by these types of policies, they are plenty smart enough and plenty resourceful enough to find a way to move money around. They will find a way around these credits. The people this hurts the most are people who don't have the type of resources to move their money around like this. I can't just pick up and move to Puerto Rico. Essentially, I mean, there's it doesn't work for me. If they raise taxes on me, I pay more taxes. That's how that works.
You chopped up a fair bit there, but yeah, and once again, the people that can afford to move away, and they do, it's just going to get passed to the next highest tax bracket, whether that be the 1% or the top earners in the middle class. You're literally killing wealth. Why is wealth so demonized by that party? The party that has millionaires. Nancy Pelosi is a multi-millionaire. And she doesn't make $1 million a year. And yeah, all of Biden's kids are millionaires. They're all wealthy.
The most ironic person
themselves.
The most ironic person to be wealthy in that party is Bernie Sanders, and he's a millionaire.
Yeah, if you notice, he stops attacking millionaires. He only attacks billionaires now because he himself is a millionaire.
He did switch his stuff around a little bit. It used to be millionaires and billionaires, and then now it's just billionaires, or the 1/10 of 1%, or whatever he says. He conveniently leaves himself out.
Yeah, speaking of the 1/10 of 1%, isn't it great that some guy invented a company that could drop all your products off to your house, considering the government closed the entire economy?
Yeah, we should be really thankful for places like Amazon right now.
Because
where would we be otherwise? You know what we'd be doing without Amazon? We'd all be crowding into Walmart right now, and then
Yeah, there'd be bread lines around the block. And good thing, isn't it incredible that businesses like Wegmans, Walmarts, Targets, they've invented a system that you can roll up there and they put groceries in the back so you don't even have to go in the store. And what did that help? It helped lowering the amount of people in the store. It helped lower the spread because there's less physical contact. All of that. We're not going to promote and highlight the pros of capitalism. We're just going to demonize it to hell until everybody wants a socialist government that is just going to be top-down approach and authoritarian. Do you know the level of government intervention that would have to happen to give you health care as a human right would be astronomical. They'd have to literally be plugged into every facet of the private sector when it comes to health care to give you health care as a right. Because if health care is a right, a doctor can't deny you care. A private doctor, like a guy that has his own practice, he can't deny you care. And just to have like a government body that would be able to regulate that guy to force you to have health, it's ludicrous. It's impossible, more importantly, but it's just ludicrous. The thought of that amount of level of government intervention is disgusting.
Yeah, it almost gets worse than that too, because not only would they force a doctor to provide care, they could do the opposite. They could force somebody to not provide care, and we've seen that in other countries that have these types of universal healthcare systems. I mean, you've seen it before. Essentially, your value is weighted by a government body, and they state, it's at some point, you're not worth the medical care, and sorry about your luck.
Sorry, you're a cigarette smoker. No lungs for Grandpa. We'll cover your pre-existing condition. We just won't cover all the things that we need to fix you.
Yeah.
It's a mockery. It's a mockery. They stand on the shoulders of capitalism and demonize them. That takes a special kind of person.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I'm not that. I'm not that special, so I can't do it. But there's people out there. They're out there.
The very same people that have enriched themselves in this great country, in this great experiment of freedom and opportunity. They've made all this money for themselves. They've made a name in politics. They've made a name in business. All these people are the ones that demonize that system. It's a joke, man. It is a literal joke. All of those politicians, over half of Congress, are millionaires or more. Over half of them. Tell me again about the 1%.
Considering their salary, that's fascinating. I'm trying to figure out how they become millionaires.
It's incredible. Insider trading's illegal for me, but they can do it. It's a joke. All right, I've had enough talking about Democrats and their disastrous national committee that they held this past week. In flip side of the coin, the RNC is happening this week, Monday the 24th through the 27th, so we'll have some coverage on that next podcast, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to touch base on the, what did they call it? America to Deliver, I think was the name of the bill. The $25 billion that was voted on in the House of Representatives by Nancy Pelosi for a need of necessity. They gathered on a Sunday, which never happens in politics. They don't work Sundays. They gathered and voted on it. It passed pretty substantially in the House. My main question is what happens when it goes to the Senate and gets blasted down? Because they were on recess. For those that don't know, the United States Postal Service has enough liquid cash on hand to run until August of 2021. So why is this a problem right now? Well, they're trying to push mail-in voting. And they're saying, they can't say all, they're saying all this stuff that the post office isn't going to be able to do it. We've said on this podcast that even the internal workings of the post office admit that they may not be able to get election ballots to all these people in this very short time.
Yeah. And to be clear, the issue isn't the act of delivering the mail. That's not necessarily the problem. The problem is you have ballots going out, and people could have moved or changed addresses or died or whatever the case may be, and now these ballots are going to the wrong people. It's not like early
Yeah.
voting. When you early vote, you have to send them. You have to send something to USPS, and then they know you live at that address, and they send you a ballot in, and then you send it back. They can handle that. The problem is just sending out these ballots and hoping the addresses are right.
Yeah, there's a like a second tier of all verification of identity there. So it prevents voter fraud. It prevents wrong people getting things. So that's not what we hear about. Instead, what we're hearing about is the removal of drop boxes and sorting machines at the post office. They're claiming that this is a crisis. We need to get this figured out because once again they're trying to push this mail-in voting thing. They're trying to demonize Trump with it at the same time. When in reality, the removal of those drop boxes and also those sorting machines that are highly expensive to maintain, they've been removing them because the amount of mail has lowered very substantially. It's like 20 or 30% over the last few years. The removal of these drop boxes happened under the Obama administration.
Yeah. Well,
it's an Obama-era policy.
That's a convenient detail to leave out.
Yeah, I'm political bargaining chip. That's what this whole, we called it at least 2 podcasts ago. We talked about this, that this is just a political bargaining chip. They don't care about the content of the money. They only care about the amount of money. You know what one of the major problems for the United States Postal Service's budget is? It's that they have like 100, I want to say it's like I don't know the number, but it is a very large number in unsecured benefits for the workers. That's where their budget's going. This is like a problem we have with unions, that we expect a company to be able to provide something for these people that don't work anymore for the rest of their lives. This would never happen in a private business. But if it's unionized or it's a government agency, that's basically, the government's just a big union with power. It's just, I mean, they're lobbied by other powerful unions. You know, it's just a union of all this. And they just gut everything dry. They bleed it all dry, and they do it by standing on the shoulders of people that need the money. Be like, well, what about the healthcare benefits of our workers? Well, like, how about you make a competitive product like the private sector, like Amazon? Do you know UPS is a private company? They're a union, and you know what? They make a profit. They make a hell of a lot of profit.
They have to.
Now, the post office, or they wouldn't exist, or FedEx would take over, or
FedEx would take over. DHL, Amazon's delivering their own packages.
Yeah. I just went on an interview for a third-party company that delivers for the Amazon warehouse in Buffalo. I mean, there's ways to do this without needing this big bureaucracy and these people that have an invested interest to always retain their power because they have something to lose. That's the problem with teachers' unions, public sector unions, all of this crap. It's all on the shoulders of the working class, and they say if we don't have this, we wouldn't have other things. It's a lie. It's a fabrication. And it really comes back to something we beat to a dead horse here, is that you need to lower taxes, make it easier to have competition, open up the doors, less regulation. We need it easier to do business, not harder. But you demonize wealth as an entire party. You demonize the rich when the rich people take all of the risk to run a business and reap the rewards. But the higher the risk, the higher the rewards. The average person doesn't open a business because they don't want to deal with the headaches. These guys voluntarily do it to try to be self-employed or entrepreneurs or investors, and you come out with tax policies that directly shoot that in the foot. It's arbitrary. It's stupid. It's draconian. You're moving the wrong way. And we're seeing that with the Postal Service. This has probably been a problem for decades, and now it's finally coming to a crest in a need of necessity by the Speaker Pelosi. After they passed the bill, the best thing that I loved was Pelosi said, just ignore Trump about it. Just sign the bill. Once again, we have checks and balances in this country. It's supposed to go through all 3 branches of government. It's supposed to be agreed on by all. Make sure it's constitutional by the Supreme Court. All of that. But what are we hearing from these? I mean, she's the 3rd most powerful person in the country, and she's just saying, ignore Trump because Trump's evil. We're not Trump. You're like, yeah, you're worse than Trump. You're worse than Trump because you're a flaming authoritarian. Something that I saw, a quick COVID front. I know it's a fast change of pace, but something
COVID
I saw,
news.
One of Trump's colleagues was saying the reason we have high cases. Yes, we've had. I have the number. It's a little over 170 or 170,000 deaths related to COVID. Compared to the world, obviously, it looks like we're not doing great. But something that was great was our response. When it came into our country and it affected us, Trump didn't do a top-down approach. He let the governors deal with it. He supplied funding. He used the private sector to bolster things to the public government. Like, oh, you need masks? Well, here, boom. You need this? Here, boom. Let's shut down all of our manufacturing plants for a little bit. Make regulators, respirators. Boom, done. I mean, he didn't do top-down approach. He didn't use flaming authoritarianism to help prevent from COVID. Instead, he used the power of the federal government to bolster the private sector. That's what we need to do. Yeah. It's way more practical.
I will say that was probably the right approach to take, and ironically, it might have hurt him because now everyone's looking at him like, well, what would you do? Look at our numbers. Our numbers are terrible. And what's he supposed to say? He can't go, I didn't do it. Look at all the governors. They messed everything up, because then that doesn't look like great leadership. And it hurts him a little bit. I will say I've argued so much about these COVID numbers, it's ridiculous. Because one thing everyone always conveniently leaves out, they always look at total cases. Nobody talks about per capita, and that's the only way you can fairly compare countries. Per capita, we are not doing dramatically worse than any other country. It's just, it is a fact.
And once again, if we have this second spike or if we have this bad flu season, we should be more prepared. I mean, we've bolstered. There's millions of dollars still untouched for states in that HEROES Act. You know, when Congress passed it a few months ago, there's still money that's not even used, and they're trying to shove more money into. They're trying to get a bureaucracy's trying to pass more money, and one of their big things was the post office. They just got $25 billion. But on the vote, it hasn't been finalized. They just got $25 billion to the post office when they have enough money to run for a whole year almost. It's ludicrous. These people are ludicrous, man.
I'm curious to see if the flu season gets super bad. Are we going to get flu checks? A little flu stimulus.
We gonna be forced to wear a mask?
How much does each disease worth? If COVID was worth $1,200, is the flu $600? These are the great questions that get asked on December 1773, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to hear more great questions in the future.
With their Democrats and their manufactured crisis, they can pick and choose the things that are crises. Don't worry about these blue states that have high rates of homeless rate. That's not a crisis. 100,000 people living on the streets isn't a crisis. But the mailbox not having on our corner, not having billions of dollars in funding to secure benefits, that $25 billion is it's going to go to benefits. It's going to go to pay people sitting at home right now. It's ludicrous. Yeah, they're saying the flu season will be worse, too. A quick point on that. How do they know this? And they're urging everybody to get a flu shot? Newsflash, people, the flu shot is not 100%. At best, it's like in the 60s to high, the lower 70% of effectiveness. And that's looking over like a decade of flu shot usage. They say like
I might look those
a flu shot.
I might look those numbers up because I don't even know if it's that high, to be honest with you. I'm trying to remember what they are off the top of my head, and I don't know. They're not high. The flu shot is not extremely effective.
At best, it's under 50% on average.
Not that getting the flu shot is a bad idea. It's always best to guard yourself in any way possible. I'm just saying, don't think because a vaccine comes out, you're safe.
Yeah, when realistically, there's multiple strands of the flu every year. Last year, the one that they had the vaccine for was not the flu that people were getting. What was the point of the vaccine? Oh, it makes when you get the flu not worse. Okay, probably, most likely. I'm not a biologist. But once again, they're saying one thing when the facts don't back it up. They're saying this flu season will be worse. And now they're linking it to overcrowding hospitals and other things. So I understand that with COVID, it does murky the water when it comes to dealing with the response to a flu outbreak. I agree. But how do we know it's going to be worse? Is the flu stronger this year? Is there more than one strand of flu going around? You're just shitting things out without.
Do they already know what?
Just hearsay.
Do they already know what strand is going to hit? Conspiracy
I don't
cast.
They make up the flu, bro. It was grown in a lab in Wuhan, China, and then they ship it over here.
We have to disclaimer every time we do a conspiracy joke that it's a joke, so we don't get fact checked. So yes, that's a joke. We don't think the flu is predetermined.
Speaking of fact check, I have a great segue for that.
Perfect.
Apparently, Donald Trump had a Twitter flag again because he was tweeting about the post office, and Twitter ruled it that it was a rule against. They flagged his tweet saying it about their rules about civic and election integrity. I'm so happy that the highly left-leaning Silicon Valley can fact-check the President of the United States, but a guy like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Cortez, Johan Omar, and all these other Democrats, when they say outlandish shit that deals with numbers, they don't get fact-checked.
That's because they only tell the truth, Ryan.
It's like they selectively enforce the law. They talk about police brutality on the left. They don't talk about, social media brutality. When mostly it targets people on the right, like a Steven Crowder, who just got back on YouTube monetization the other week.
Yeah, he's been demonetized literally probably since I started watching him.
Yeah, his entire time on YouTube, basically. He would ask them. He hired a lawyer, and he would ask them what rules
Half
we
Asian
violate.
Bill.
What's this? Half Asian Bill Richmond. Yep. They
Can't
ask him, and
confirm he's half
YouTube
Asian.
doesn't even know.
No. Yeah, it's
Korean,
fascinating.
let's be honest.
He's not white.
It's incredible.
Not white lawyer Bill.
It's this dude, a duplicity once again with the left. They claim police brutality, but when it comes to anything dealing with brutality on the internet and censoring people that are mostly censored on the right, high percentage of them are on the right. PragerU is another one. They're claiming that their stuff's fake and false on their YouTube and Facebook. That's a right-leaning institution. That's an online college. Basically, what they do is they take the Democratic point of view, and they challenge it with statistics, facts, and obviously they lean right because they're grounded in conservatism, smaller government, lower debt, civil liberties, things of that nature. And of course they're going to clash, and of course they get banned. Of course their videos get taken down. It's ludicrous. And then YouTube's response, Twitter's response, Facebook's response for banning that speech is that, it violates this. It's like a subs insert of their bullshit law policy that nobody knows what is real and not real. Selective enforcement of the law.
So we personally actually ran into this on Google. We started a Google ad campaign, and Google's our one intro video, I shared it to our page. Our one intro video got flagged for violating the policy. Now I think, to be fair to Google, everything is computer reviewed. So when I submit it for an appeal to have it actually reviewed by a person, they let it go through. So to be fair to them, they did right the ship. But for somebody who does tons of videos and every single one gets flagged, demonetized, and then they have to go and fight each video, that's a lot of resource for people who do videos. It's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of waiting, and in the meantime, you're missing out on capital that you could be getting from your video.
It's weird. It's like they're targeting your streams of revenue to shut you down. Just like raising your taxes so you have less expendable income to hire employees, invest in your business, double down on what you're good at. It's like it's a planned strategic attack. They know exactly what they are doing. It's despicable.
Other fronts. There was something else I saw. Jumping back to the phone here. I've been doing, I think this is going to work for me, taking little screenshots of things that I see to try and remind me. Did you see two things? Did you see the secretly recorded audio of Trump's sister? I shouldn't say see since it's audio. Did you hear it, I suppose?
Was that the one about
no
black
principles?
voters?
No, it's about, she's talking about Trump, which is her brother, and says he has no principles and you can't trust him. It was in secret recorded audio.
She said that?
Yeah. I'm assuming they're not, I'm assuming they're not super friendly with each other. I don't know how the Trump family tree, how it works, but it's his sister, and apparently she's not a big fan.
Hey, all of our listening audience, I want a quick poll for you. I want you to list how many siblings you got and how many of them you have a great relationship with.
You have quite a few siblings, don't you?
I'm sure it's not 100%.
You have more
I
siblings than I
A
have.
plethora.
I have two
I have a
sisters.
plethora of siblings.
That's all I got. I got two sisters. One lives
In my family,
one lives out in Israel. So, you know, that's good stuff. She's our international whatever. She's my sister. She lives in Israel.
yeah, my family, we don't
She's-
count half siblings. We just all say we're siblings. So, yeah, I have a
Well, that's
broad branch in the family.
Both my
tree.
sisters are half sisters, but they're both my sisters.
Different breeds makes the family interesting, my friend.
So there was that, and then there was one other thing I'd like a quick reaction on, and it was Kamala Harris. Apparently, two Russian pranksters, and this is a thing that they do, called Kamala Harris pretending to be Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is. She's like 9 years old, and she's apparently a global warming.
The climate change scientist, you mean?
Yeah,
Climate change
yeah.
scientist?
She was very successful for her age. She's already a climate scientist.
Dude,
They
she's going to get
pretended to be
college
her.
paid for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But apparently they called Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris, and what they said was that they had some inside dirt on Trump, and Kamala Harris's response that she was looking forward to working with her. So that's interesting. That's not, yeah. Nothing to
It kind of
see
sounds
here.
like the lawyer that Hillary Clinton hired to contact the Trump campaign about dirt on their opponent dealing with Russia. Ugh, God, I hate it. I wish we could see the literal egg on their face sometimes, because it would be astronomical.
It would be a thick coating of egg, and then you could bread them, fry them in a pan, make something delicious. Democratic pork chops, perhaps.
Slop chops, dude. Be the thinnest pork chops. I'd be starving off those pork chops, you know?
Those are pork chops
That'd be
you can't eat. Those are pork chops you can't eat because Kamala Harris says you can't have meat. How dare her? We talked about it last
Their
episode.
version-
Still fired up. Oh, take my meat.
Their version of pork chops would be so hard, it'd be like a frozen brick that was actually cooked already. Like, what is this? You'd be like, oh, you got to pay us, we're going to tax you 50% of your meat here so that you can eat it.
This is the segment of the show where we go off the rails. It's my favorite segment of the show.
It
We
only
always do.
happens about now.
We do it once a show. We get into the weeds somehow.
You know, an hour in, that's when we start breaking down. The wheels fall off the gravy train wheels.
The wheels are coming off the train right now. We're riding on tracks.
Oh yeah, but back on Trump's sister. I just seen a headline about it. I didn't pay any skin to it because honestly, I don't give a what his family thinks about it. You know, like you can say he doesn't have principles and morals and all this other things, but in reality, the guy's the president. He won the presidency, and he's a successful businessman. You know, if I were to hit the mega millions, I'm sure that my family would be calling me for a handout. And you know what I would tell them? Pound salt. I'm kind of thinking that's a
Ouch.
similar thing. It's kind of probably a similar thing. I don't put a lot of stock in anybody's family because honestly, in personal experience, I've been trash talked by my own family. And on the Kamala Harris front, I think it's funny for somebody who claims to be hyper intelligent or have a certain level of intelligence that she got pranked by a couple online trolls. That's always funny to me.
Apparently, I'm trying to think what a Russian impression of a Swede would sound like. I think she's Swedish, Greta Thunberg. I don't want to do the impression because my impressions are not very good, but I'd imagine it doesn't. A Russian person probably doesn't sound a lot like a Swedish person unless they do a very good impression.
We have dirt on Trump. Pick up phone, leave phone number, call it back.
So that's
pay postage. Must pay postage 1 million trillion US dollars.
so
Be sent overnight.
they're not even trying to impersonate Sweden. That's just a Russian male.
It's hard to impersonate people when you're always drunk off Russian vodka. So
They keep it domestic. Everybody. They don't go outside the country for their vodka.
It's like, how come you guys only make vodka? Because all we can grow is potatoes over here. Leave us alone.
Oh, Lord. I don't know what else we got. What else was in the news front? I think that's about everything.
All right, I got a couple points. Quick, apparently
Perfect.
there's a double tropical storm hitting the Gulf of Mexico, which always sounds fun during an election year. And on top of it, during 2020, when this entire year has literally been out of the book of Revelations of whatever movie of your picking, Twister, Pandemic, whatever movie you
I'm
want,
going-
we're getting it all.
I'm going for
I'm
Sharknado. If 2020
I'm
doesn't
just-
end with Sharknado, I'm over it. The year failed. I want sharks and
All I'm-
tornadoes. Tara Reid running around for
All,
whatever reason.
all I'm waiting for is for like Jurassic Park World to break out, and then we all get mauled by dinosaurs. So,
I'd fight a dinosaur.
yeah,
Not a T-Rex,
Oh,
but I'd
hell
fight a Velociraptor all day. Punch him right in the
Yeah,
stupid
pull-
head.
pull out a lightsaber, cut its arm off. There was I got two quick points. Actually, one's a bigger point, but I got a quick point. I have not done any investigative journalism on this, so we will keep a very close eye on this and keep posted for next week. But there is some funky shit happening with China in the South China Sea right now. I've heard reports that some people believe this is a conspiracy theory right now, but they could be building
Conspiracy
nuclear
theory alert.
reactors. Nuclear reactors under a mountain in China.
I saw that
But there
they
is
had the nuclear sub go into the side of the. What China says that's just where they store their, I don't know, military
yeah.
gear or whatever. And the side of a mountain. That's where I would store my gear as well. That you can only access by submarine.
just and you couldn't see from satellite imagery.
That's some serious. Can we talk about some serious James Bond shit right there? Their military bases in the side of a mountain underwater. You can only get it with a submarine. How crazy is that?
Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Move along.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous. That's badass shit right there.
Yeah, I'm sure we have UFOs hiding in Mount Rushmore. We're just waiting to them up with. So I'm sure we
Probably.
do it. I'm sure we have it here in America, and that's where those UFO sightings are coming from.
That's probably true, except aliens are humanitarian.
And they're also vegetarian, so they don't eat people. They're
soft.
All right, before we go off the rails, we'll keep an eye on the China front, considering the Democrats don't want to talk about China. We do here at December 17th, 73. One of my biggest fears is China replacing us as a world power. So any China news is news for you. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll do a little bit more investigation in that, and hopefully more facts come out, and it's not just brushed under the rug during this political time. Now, something I want to talk about before the RNC takes off this week is the Biden camp and the election. Currently, Biden is polling nationally about 8 to 10 points on average above the Trump. There's apparently some predictions. Basically, all the predictions right now that I've been seeing is saying that if Trump does win, it would be highly similar to 16, that Biden wins the popular vote and Trump wins the electoral vote. The media is painting this as like a great failure by the Republicans because apparently it will set history as the party that has won electorally but not the popular vote the most in a row ever, or something along those natures. They're trying to spin this into a negative thing.
Well, they would have done it.
Obviously, 16, 17.
They would have done it then 3 times in the past 2 decades because Bush accomplished that too. I don't remember which one it was, if it was against Kerry or Gore, but I think it was Gore. But Bush had less
Yeah, I'd
popular
imagine
vote.
with the Florida recount.
Yeah, the weird hang-in chat thing. I think it was Gore. But Gore had more popular vote, and Bush won. Suck it, Al Gore, idiot. Stupid cherry picker. That thing rules. Can you put that back up? Everyone...
It's my Hillary Clinton bottle opener. It's literally the only thing her big mouth is good for. Is popping open my my Samuel Adams, my founding father's beer.
I'd like to point out one thing about Hillary Clinton. Everyone talks a big game.
Clinton?
Yeah, everyone talks a big game about being anti-pedophile. She's the only one who backs it up.
Dude, She probably gets in there, dude. Conspiracy alert. She probably gets up in there with Billy Bob Thornton in the morning there, man. He's probably all over Pedophile Island.
He seems like a weird dude. Was he on the flight logs? He was probably the pilot.
Just got spied on by the old lady.
Yeah.
What's this country coming to? I can't even get peace. So yeah, we'll just touch.
Do you want me to edit that out or keep that in?
No, leave it in there. She needs
trying
to
to save your future marriage.
Hey, if anybody's gonna save it. Yeah. So back on the election front, before we got off into squirrel. So they're saying that if Trump does win, it will be highly reminiscent of 16, that he wins electorally, loses popularly. Apparently, right now, there's 16 swing states. Biden is favored in 12. Trump is favored in 4. We're looking at, for the Democrats, we're looking at North Carolina, Arizona, Florida, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Nevada, Virginia, Maine, and Colorado are all leaning Biden right now. Though at the time of recording this, some of the polls, Trump was making some gain up on them. And basically the Republicans are favored in Ohio, Georgia, Iowa, and Texas. So it seems that those will be the Sweet 16 that Trump needs to kind of swing as those four.
Do they have Texas listed as a swing state?
Texas is a swing state right now.
Well, that's not good. If you're a Republican, if you see Texas as a swing state, you should not be super pumped.
Dude, Limbaugh's been talking about that, dude, for years, that people in these, especially in Texas, he said, Californians and Nevada, too, because I think Nevada with Vegas. Nevada was very red many decades ago. And people, the wealthier Democrats, the wealthier liberals that fled areas like that, they moved to these lower income tax states like Nevada and Texas, Arizona, and they start turning them blue. Limbaugh's been saying that for years. We're seeing it, dude.
Yeah, Texas is a swing state. Don't be excited if you're a Republican. That's not good. I think Texas is still ultimately going to be red, but that's you would never think California or New York is swing states. Those are just lockdown blue states. Texas.
Well, I just think it goes
for years.
It goes like once again with 16 that these cities. Hillary Clinton literally won every city in America. If you looked at the electoral map based on district, it was
every
all
major
Clinton,
city.
Every major in New York, all major cities: Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, and New York City. And then the one up by the Adirondacks. She won all of those, but everything else was red. And this is a trend we've been seeing now for probably the better half of the decade, if I had to guess. I don't know that actually factually, but just based on my political experience and some of the movements I've been a part of, it's always like that, man. And it is even out here when I cross the county line, there's almost immediately a Trump flag flying, and that's only like 15 minutes from my house. Boom, Trump flag, Trump signs. I was just up in the north part of my county today. I wasn't even out of the county, and there's just Trump shit everywhere. So this is, and then once again, I'm sure in these polls, it's highly favored that they survey more Democrats than they do Republicans. That was something that we've seen in 2016. I imagine that will carry over because most of the time, it seems that Democrats are more involved in polling than Republicans. Yeah. Or most people, I'm sure I would love to know the number of undecided voters this year. I was an undecided voter until Election Day last year. I literally made my choice at the voting booth.
Yep, we've talked about that. I was the same way.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be a repeat for many, many, many people. Because once again, as the RNC is coming. Once again, it is Monday through Thursday, the 24th through the 27th. We will do a breakdown on that in next week's episode. But that I'm really hoping the RNC, I'm hoping Trump, I'm hoping Pence, I'm hoping whoever they get to speak, I hope they're laying out policy. Let's not just copy and paste the DNC. I'm sure the RNC is going to be in person. I haven't seen any reports on how they're dealing with that, if they're going to do virtual convention or not, or if they're going to be at a stage or whatever. So I'm very interested. I'm very interested in the RNC.
I almost think they have to do it in person just to show the contrast.
Yeah. Yeah, and they need to talk policy. They need to, if they get speakers, be like, when Trump lowered taxes, businesses boomed. When he renegotiated NAFTA, it brought back X amount of jobs. Like, they need to tie those big hitting political points with Trump policies, because what will get Trump elected is policy, the economy. Under COVID, under the pandemic, last week, boom, stocks shot right up, man. You know, it's just showing how volatile this all is. I'm not a stock major by any stretch of the imagination, but I like wealth. I like wealth in our country. I want it to stay here. I don't want it to go to princes in foreign countries. But it sounds like it's good for business. It's good for all of our 401ks. We got to keep oiling that machine, man. And as long as Trump and the Trump campaign talk policy and then relate that to social issues, like Trump is going to be strong, you know, defending your communities, not defunding the police, the border, cybersecurity, planetary security. China landed on the moon a few years ago. Trump enacted the Space Force, which I believe is a direct correlation to China doing that. They're trying to, not that we're going to be fighting wars in space, but that is the new frontier as far as defense. We need to have, you know, defense and planetary thinking. So yeah, Trump needs to hammer hard with policy. I think if the campaign does that, they can sway voters. And I'm hoping we're going to see high numbers, because the DNC numbers were not good. There was not many views and streams, and their numbers weren't great. So I'm hoping the RNC crushes all that. Isn't
it fascinating that Biden seems to poll so well, but no one will come watch him do anything? Like, no one went to his rallies. Nobody watched his DNC whatever. Like, nobody cares. And yet he polls tremendously.
Yeah, and that's because they oversample polls. I mean, they say a lot of the times in the bottom, if anybody ever gets that far in a news article, a lot of times it's like 3 to 4 numbers. You know, like,
wait, you're saying there's more than the headline?
Yeah. Could you imagine only headlines as news? We would do terribly. We would do terribly. Yeah, it's like 3/4 of them. You know, they get independents. It's like 10%, but it's like they pull more independents than they Republicans. It's a mockery of our. If we have a 2-party system, it's not represented very well in most of these mainstream media articles. It's terrible. But yeah, they're oversampling polls, and then once again, most Americans are afraid to speak of political beliefs. And I think that was so powerful about 16. That's, people are going to make their political statement. They're going to go pull a lever, and they're going to go home, crack a beer, sit back, and laugh as they watch all these states turn red again. That's what I'm hoping happens. I'm looking forward to election night, that's for sure. We got to get a clock. We got to get a timer. But I believe we're approaching like 80 days to the election here.
Yeah, but we're getting closer and closer.
So after the RNC, this should be this should be a nuclear bomb. Things should just blast from here. Trump policies, political lawmakers, all that thing, all of any momentum Trump has, he's approved at, he's polling at 51% right now, nationally from one of the polls I've seen. And that's good news for Trump, but that doesn't correlate to votes. So as long as he plays the policy game, as long as he keeps breaking down their talking points and proving these manufactured crises or his lack of leadership on the COVID front, things of that nature, if he keeps greasing that machine on what he's doing right and those policies, I think Trump can pull this off again.
So the RNC is going to be big for him, presumably. One thing I've said for a while now, I still think it's going to happen, the debates. Debates could be a huge swing, too. So there's potentially some big swings coming. And if he starts to get some momentum with, 80 days left or whatever it is, it could be trouble.
Especially if he keeps that approval rating up, because I mean the highest it's ever been was just above 50, like 50, like mid 50s. So if he's around that point going into a debate, because Biden at the DNC looked pretty good. He spoke good. He had a good speech. Like it was, he played it well.
It's almost like it was pre-recorded.
Yeah, but he looked good. So he had that image. He seemed strong, considering he seemed awfully weak or mentally not there. He had that going for him. So I would love to see them on a stage next to each other, man. It'd be hilarious. Keep your ear out. We'll keep our ear out for the RNC, and we'll have coverage of that in next week's episode.
Perfect. And to see next week's episode, bottom right of the screen. I think when I'm on the screen, I'll be pointing to the right. However that works, but it's down here. It's the bottom. It's the bottom right. Come on, directions.
It's red. It says subscribe.
It's literally red. It says subscribe. It's the bottom right of the screen, and when you click it with a mouse or press it with your finger on a phone, you subscribe to our channel. So you need to do that. It's super easy. The easiest thing in the world.
Hit that notification bell too, so you get alerts when we post the newest podcasts and any other content that we release.
Yeah,
if you like the video.
Yeah.
Share the video.
That's right. Subscriptions kind of just let you see our channel easily, and the notification bells means when we post a video up, you'll get a thing across the top of your phone that says, December 73 is premiering a video, and then you click it, and then you watch us. And then you have a good time. For an undisclosed amount of time, we don't know. Some episodes are 50 minutes, some are over an hour. This one's going to be well over an hour.
Yeah, it was a jam-packed news week with the DNC and everything else going on, so... But yeah, that's all I got this week, my friend. Anything else you want to touch on before we say sayonara?
Stickers. Look at those. That's the old school. That's the OG logo.
Ooh, that looks high quality, my friend.
That's throwback. That is. It's glossy. We laminated this one.
I like lamination.
Get yourself some stickers. Contact me if you want stickers. Donate money. We will donate a sticker. It's very simple. Donation.
And we reinvest that right into the podcast. We reinvest that right into our page for ad revenue. This is not a profit-seeking thing. This is to grow December 1773 so that hopefully one day Dave and I can sit in the same studio and have guests and, really have high-level production.
And our studio would be a
tremendous,
beautiful studio. It'd be the biggest, most bigly studio ever.
It'd be beautiful.
It'd be beautiful.
Most beautiful
It'd be
stadium
tremendous.
It'd
be bigly tremendous.
It'd be huge. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share. Like the video, share the video, tell your friends and family about them, send out links. Comment below what you want to see in future episodes, any other political breakdown. Stuff you don't have time for, if you want to ship it to us, we'll break it down for you. We're here for you, and you're here for us. So thank everybody for watching. This is Ryan and Dave from December 1773, and we'll see y'all again soon. Thank you for watching.
See you later. Stay tuned to the end of our credits. You're going to have a nice little bloopers reel because we were way off topic at the beginning of this video. So we'll show some of that.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. See ya.
Peace, man. Bye, everybody.
Oh. Cut for a second there, but it's good.
Okay.
I got recording started in 2 different ways, so there's no way in fuck we're losing any of this.
I hope not.
We've been wrong before.
Or it just takes Facebook a week to upload our podcast.
Yeah, that was weird. YouTube, right away, no problems. I put it on Facebook. I tried 15, 20 different times, whatever. And then randomly today, I was like, I'll try and load it again, see if it loads. And then when I first did it today, it had an issue. And then it said reload, which it did before. So I clicked reload again, which I've done before. And it worked. So I deleted the old one and then kept with the reloaded one. And for whatever reason, now it works. I don't know.
It really makes me question the validity of Facebook at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know what it is. There's the weird thing was I saw other people premiering videos like all week long. So I'm like, what the fuck? Why can they premiere videos and I can't? But for whatever
Right.
reason, today it worked. I don't know. So yeah, we'll
Before I get started, got my
Wha-
Hillary Clinton bottle. This is probably the only thing her big mouth is good for. And
Well, that-
another thing, got a little Sam Adams Oktoberfest, which
Okay,
means
is
it's
that back?
officially fall. Oh yeah, it's a
I think, and I'm no scientist, but I think fall equinox begins when Sam Adams Oktoberfest is available.
it does for me. If I can
Yeah.
drink this lovely brew, Oktoberfest, it's officially fall. I don't care if it's July or August.
Yeah, it's now officially October 21st or whenever the shit fall begins. Who
September
cares?
21st. Yep.
Doesn't matter. Oktoberfest is out. It began already.
Yep, it's fall. Pumpkin spice will be upon us.
Not to get super off topic, I'm sure we'll work this in somehow. Pumpkin spice. How are you? Are you yay or nay on pumpkin spice?
Well, as far as I know, there's pumpkin spice in this, so I guess I like it.
You like it when it's in Oktoberfest?
I only go two things with anything dealing with this whole holiday of autumn. I go down to our local apple cider factory called Mayer Brothers, which has the best apple cider in all of America, and Oktoberfest. That's about as far as I go with anything pumpkin-y related.
Sure. So the most you go, just so we're clear, the furthest you go down the pumpkin spice path is a place that does apple cider
Mm-hmm.
and a Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that's it. Donuts, coffees, lattes, pot. I don't care. Honestly, Pop-Tarts, I don't care. Keep your pumpkin crap, At least it gets people out, I guess, and going to spend money on all this pumpkin crap. But yeah, short of that, I don't care. I don't eat pumpkin seeds. We carve pumpkins every year, tradition and all that. Don't really cook them. Don't eat them. I eat pumpkin pie around holidays. That's about it. Those are
So
the
that would-
three: apple cider, pumpkin pie, and Oktoberfest. That's the length of my autumn flavor.
That is about as American as it gets.
Especially considering it's named after a founding father. So
That's right. Yes. The legend. Legend is known. Okay. We will now jump into our official intro.
now that we're back off the weeds,
now that we're back, we get into the weeds very quickly, and I think it makes our show interesting.
hey, somebody's got to get in the weeds, man. It can't all be dry political commentary. So
No, it's boring. Nobody wants that. I don't want to be boring. I want to get into the weeds. I want to
I
be
like
more.
weeds.
I want to be more in weeds than out of weeds. But we got to be out of the
Bumper
weeds.
sticker.
More in the weeds than out
Should
of
be
the
the
weeds.
new bumper sticker.
All right.
Back to its roots.
Back
More
to
in
its
the weeds than
roots.
out of the weeds.
In the weed.
What the hell is wrong with these people? In the weeds.
Too much to list. All right.